Welcome back to our channel. My name is Reina, and today we're building an interactive sales dashboard in Excel from scratch. No coding, no complex formulas. By the end of this video, you'll know how to create KPI cards, charts, slicers, a timeline, and a clean layout that updates automatically. Dashboards are powerful because they turn raw data into a clear story. Whether you're a professional tracking performance or an entrepreneur trying to understand how your business is doing, a dashboard can give you answers instantly. And if you want to follow along, I've shared the sample file below. Let's jump in. Here's our data set. It includes online sales from different platforms, customer details, product information, and location data. The first thing we need to do is convert our data into an Excel table. This keeps everything clean and makes sure our pivots stay connected. Click anywhere inside the data, go to the Home tab, and click Format as Table. You can also press Ctrl-T. Excel will automatically select the data range. Just make sure My Table Has Headers is checked and click OK. Let's rename it, go to Table Design, and change the table name to Data. And since we're going to add other tabs, let's also rename the sheet to Data so our workbook stays organized. Now we're ready to build our pivot engine. Click anywhere in the table, go to the Insert tab, and click Pivot Table. Excel will automatically select the range from the table. Just make sure New Worksheet is selected and click OK. Rename the sheet to Pivot. We're going to build all our pivot tables here to keep everything in one place. And before building a dashboard, you always want to review your data and identify the key metrics you want to include in the dashboard. For this data set, we'll use the following. For our KPI cards, we're going to use total sales, profit, margin percent, average order values, and quantity sold. And we're going to create pivots to build the following chart. Sales by country, state, region, platform, category, and we're also going to need quantity by category, monthly sales, and top 10 products. These will also become our section headers later on the dashboard. Now let's build our pivots. Our first pivot will give us the KPI numbers. Drag total sales to the value section, then profit. And let's bring total sales again and change it to show the average. Click the arrow to open the option menu and select average. And we also need the quantity. These values will become our KPI cards at the top of the dashboard. Copy these values beside our KPI titles to make sure they're linked to the pivot. The margin percent is just the profit divided by sales. And let's format the dollar values as number, no decimal places, and the margin as percent. Rename the pivot to KPIs. For sales by country, let's copy the KPI pivot and modify it. Drag country into the rows section, and we only need total sales, so let's remove the other values. Open the value field setting, go to Show Values As, and select Percent of Grand Total. Now format the values as a percent. Rename the pivot so it's clear what it's for and give it a title. This helps later when we connect the slicers. Now we're going to repeat this for the rest of the pivots. We need 7 more pivot tables, so copy the country pivot, paste it 7 times, and we will adjust each one. I'll move through this part quickly, but you can pause the video to see the structure for each pivot table. For the sales by state, change the Show Values As to No Calculation, and let's format it to show as millions. To do this, highlight the values, right-click, select Number Formats, then Custom, and type 0.00, 2 commas, and a capital M in quotes. If you notice, by default, Excel will sort the data based on the row values. Right now, it's in alphabetical order, but we want it sorted by the values. Click on any of the values, right-click to open the Format menu, click Sort, and then Format Smaller to Largest. And don't forget to rename the pivot. For the sales by region, we need to show the total sales in both dollars and a percent. Let's drag down total sales to the values section again, format it as dollar, no decimal, and don't forget to rename the pivot. We're We're gonna use a funnel chart for the sales by category and a waterfall chart for the quantity by category. These charts don't work directly from a pivot, so we're gonna need to remove the data outside the pivot table. To do this, click any cell below the table and type equal and select the first cell on the pivot category. Go to the cell next to it and type equal and reference the pivot value. Excel will generate a get pivot data formula. You want to replace the category reference with the cell reference to make sure it always picks up the correct value. Select both cells and drag the formula down until you see all the values. And we're going to repeat the same steps for the quantity by category pivot. For the sales by month, drag date into the row section. Excel will automatically add multiple filter options for dates, but we only need the months. So let's remove the rest. Change the value option to show values with no calculation. Format the numbers to million. This will give us a clean monthly trend. For the top 10 products, drag product into the row section and change the value option to show values with no calculation. We only want to see the top 10 products, so click the drop-down on row labels, select value filter, and top 10. By default, Excel sorts alphabetically by product, but we want to sort it by value. Click any of the values, right-click, sort, then sort largest to smallest, so the highest values appear at the top. And don't forget to rename all your pivots. Now we're ready to build a dashboard layout. Insert a new sheet and rename it Dashboard. Add a title at the top. I'll use something simple, just Sales Dashboard. Increase the font size and make it bold. For this dashboard, we're using freeform layout so we can control spacing and the look. The goal here is to fit all the charts in one screen without having to scroll or zoom out too much. So our first step is preparing the canvas. Let's leave space under the title for 5 KPI cards. We're gonna build these at the end. Reduce the height of row 7 to about 10 pixels and add a dark gray fill. Widen the first column to about the width of 2 normal columns as a placeholder for the slicers. Narrow a few columns to create vertical border lines. We have 8 charts to fit, and this will help us visualize where each one goes. Now repeat the same layout about halfway down the page for the lower charts. Add a light gray fill to those narrow columns so the borders are visible. Bring over the chart titles from the pivot sheet and place them below the borders where each chart will sit. Format the titles, merge and center, add a dark gray fill, change font color to white, and increase the font size to 12. Now we're ready to insert the visuals. For the sales by country, we're going to create a donut chart. Click anywhere on the sales by country pivot, go to the Insert tab, click Recommended Charts, select Pie Chart, and choose Donut. Let's move it to the Dashboard tab, right-click to cut, or you can press Ctrl-X and paste it into the dashboard. Resize the chart to fit inside the border, right-click a field button and hide all field buttons on chart. Since we already have chart titles, we can click the plus sign and remove chart titles. Also, we want to remove the legends and grid lines, and we're going to do this for all the charts. Adjust the size of the donut and increase the size to 50%. Add data labels, click more options to include the category name as well. Make the font bold and increase the size to 12. The label is not very visible inside the donut. Let's move it outside. Now it looks much better. The last thing we need to do is remove the chart outline, go to the Format tab, click Shape Outline, and select No Outline. For the sales by state, insert a bar chart and move it to the dashboard. Resize the chart, clean up the labels and formatting. Add data labels inside the bar. Change the font color to white so it's visible, and change the font size to 10. We're going to use font size 10 for all the values with dollar format. In the series option, change the gap width so the bars are about 70%, or adjust it until it looks balanced. And let's resize the chart by increasing the size of the middle column until you see all the values inside the bar. This will also adjust the size of the chart above so they line up nicely. And don't forget to remove the chart outline. For the sales by region, insert a combo chart with bars for sales and a line to show the percent. Move it to the dashboard, resize and clean up the labels. Place value labels above the bars. For the percent line, let's place the data labels below the line so they appear inside the bar area. Change the percent label to white, font size 11, and bold. We'll use this format for all our percent values. Make sure the rest of the text are in black font color for readability. And don't forget to remove the chart outline. For the sales by platform, insert a pie chart and move it to the dashboard. Resize and clean up labels, add data labels outside, and change the font size to 12 and bold, and remove the leader line. For the sales by category, we're going to use the range we created outside the pivot to insert a funnel chart. Move it to the dashboard, resize and clean up labels, and format it to match the other charts. And again, use the range we created for the quantity by category to insert a waterfall chart. Move it to the dashboard, resize and clean up labels, and format it to match the other charts. For the sales by month, we're going to use a column chart. Move it to the dashboard, resize and clean up the labels and formatting. Place the data labels at the outside end of each column. And change the column gap width to 70%. And for our last chart, the top 10 products, insert a bar chart. Move it to the dashboard, resize and clean up the labels and formatting. Add the labels inside the bars, and set the gap width to about 70 and resize it to fit the layout. And you can resize some of the columns if needed to make sure all the charts fit in one screen. Once everything looks good, let's lock the charts in place. Select all the charts. To do this, click one of the charts, then press the Control key and select the rest. Right-click and select Size and Properties. Under Properties, select Move but don't size with cells. This will make sure the size of the chart doesn't change even if you adjust any of the columns or rows later. Now we're ready to add the slicer. Click on any of the charts, go to the Insert tab, and select Slicer. Choose Country, Region, Platform, and Category. Resize all the slicers together so they match the size of the column, then stack them vertically. If you click one of the slicers now, you'll notice it's only connected to one pivot. We need each slicer to control all the charts. To do this, select the country slicer, right-click to open the slicer menu, and select Report Connection. This will open a box listing all the pivots we created, and this is where naming your pivots comes in handy. What you want to do is select all the pivots except the field you're filtering. That way you can see all the items in the chart you're filtering, which makes it easier to compare. And now we're going to repeat this for each slicer. And now let's add the timeline. Click any chart, go to the Insert tab, click Timeline, and choose Date. Move it below the monthly sales chart. In the Timeline option, let's turn off Header, Scroll Bar, Selection Label, and Time Level. Our data is only for 1 year in this demo, so we don't really need all the extra elements. Then go to Report Connection and connect the timeline to all the pivot tables except the monthly sales, since it already drives the chart directly. Resize the timeline to match the monthly sales chart and fits nicely below it. And now let's add our KPI cards. We're going to start with the icons we're going to use. Go to the Insert tab and click Icons. We'll see a whole list. On the search bar, type Profit to narrow it down to financial icons. You can select multiple at the same time. We need 5. You can choose any ones you like and click Insert. Move them to the top and resize them a bit. We're going to fix the formatting and the size later. Now let's build the cards. Go to the Insert tab, click Shapes, and choose the rectangle shape. Draw the shape, make it big enough to hold the title, values, and icon. You can change the colors from the theme palette or from the shape fill dropdown. I'm going to choose this dark purple and apply one of the preset styles to make it look like a button. Add a text box. We're going to need 2, one for the KPI title and another for the value. Just make sure you leave some room for the icon later. Don't worry about perfect alignment now. We're going to do that later. For now, we just need to add the text and formatting. Select the first box and type directly in the formula bar to make sure it's linking back to the Pivot tab. Type equal and go to the pivot tab to add our first KPI title. You can just copy-paste the one we just added so you don't have to reinsert it again. Place them beside each other. In the second box, do the same to bring the value. Change the font to 20, bold, and resize the box so the value is visible and center vertically. Change the font size to 16 bold and resize the box so the full text is visible. Select the shape and both text boxes. Go to the Shape Format tab, and let's group them. This keeps everything together when we copy it. We need 5 cards, so let's copy and paste the card 4 more times. Move the first and last card where you want them to sit. Now let's format them together. Select all 5 cards, go to Shape Format. You can adjust the width if needed. Then click Align Top, then Align and distribute horizontally. This will space them evenly, and you can repeat this until you're happy with the spacing. Update the formula in each card so they point to the correct KPI title and values on the pivot sheet. Adjust the size of the boxes needed. Now select all the text boxes, and you want to remove the shape fill and outline and change the font color to white. Now let's add the icons, and we can format them the same way. Make sure the first and last icon are aligned with the first and last shape. Select them all, first align top, then distribute horizontally. You can use your keyboard down arrow to move them down if you want to have a little bit more control. And if they move behind the card like mine did, just make sure you select Bring to Front from the Shape Format tab. And change the fill to white so they stand out on the purple card. And the last step is our color palette. For this dashboard, we're using a dark purple to match our KPI cards with orange accents. First, let's start with the title. Change the fill to dark purple and the font color to white. For the KPI area, select rows 2 to 6 and change the fill to light gray for a nice contrast. And let's remove the grid lines so we can see the chart background better. Go to the View tab and unselect grid lines. Adjust the border columns if needed to make sure everything fits nicely. And fill the row above the chart title with white to match the borders. For the charts, you can change the color by going to the Page Layout menu and using the Theme or Color Palette options. You can also add a custom color to the palette like I did. You can do this by selecting Customize Colors and add the color you like under Accent 1 and then click Save. For our dashboard, I added the purple color. This will also change the color for the slicers and timeline. But for our dashboard, let's change the slicer and timeline to light blue. For the accents, click on the donut chart and change the fill color. Choose the solid fill option and change the color to a bright orange. For the pie chart, let's use the same purple color with different transparency level. Just remove the Vary Color by Slice option, then select Solid Fill and choose our purple color. Select the smaller slice and change the transparency to 20%, the second slice to 40%, and the third to 60% to create that variation. And change the monthly sales and top 10 product bars to a bright orange to add a nice contrast. Now the dashboard has a clean and consistent look. And that's our complete sales dashboard built entirely in Excel. We created KPI cards, slicers, a timeline, trend charts, a regional breakdown, and a clean layout that feels modern and professional. Comment and let us know what dashboard you'd like to see next. And don't forget to subscribe for more Excel and AI tutorials. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.